Tonight, NASA versus Elon Musk. So NASA's top officials firing back at Musk. One former senior NASA official, just moments ago, told CNN that they never received an offer from Musk's SpaceX to bring home the two U.S. astronauts stuck in space. They never got that offer. Now, why were they saying that? Well, because they were responding to Musk's claims that the two astronauts had been left in space for, quote, political reasons. The astronauts themselves, they're up there, and they had to deny this.
We don't feel abandoned. We don't feel stuck. We don't feel stranded.
I mean, they are on the International Space Station having to respond to this. I mean, there's just some moments in all this where you go, this is really insane. Multiple astronauts going after Musk after these claims, including Andreas Morgensen, who called Musk's claim a lie on X. Musk responded, and I'm going to just quote what Musk said. He called this astronaut, quote, fully retarded and an idiot. So on that note, let's bring in astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson, the author of the new book, Merlin's Tour of the Universe, Traveler's Guide to Blue Moons, Black Holes, Mars, Stars, and Everything Far. It is a prominent place on my bookshelf. I put it in the travel section, should I ever get to
just in case.
Travel.
Yeah.
You know, when I was organizing, that's what I did. Okay, this topic that, right, Musk says that this was, you know, political, that Biden wouldn't bring them down. They have to be, these astronauts denying it on the space station. NASA denies it. An astronaut says it's not true, and Musk, you know, uses those horrible words to respond to the person. I mean, what is your response to all of this?
Well, let's go to the beginning of it all. The two astronauts were never stranded in any normal way we would use that term. And they were joining a half a dozen other astronauts on the International Space Station. There's plenty of food. Maybe they didn't bring enough changes of underwear. I don't know. But that would be like the worst case scenario. They're both experienced astronauts. And while I don't remember whether this is the longest time they spent in zero G in their astronaut career, but it's a while, and so they have to adjust to that, but they're professionals. So they're not stranded. Second, what a luxury it is to have a conversation about he said, she said, and who said what, when, I mean, think about it. We have options to bring them back from space. One of them is SpaceX.
Right.
And that's evidence to me that we are living in the future, that no one is worried about whether there exists a ship to bring them back. The Starliner for Boeing, that had some risk factors. NASA was not going to take that risk. So you push that aside. Who's up next? There's SpaceX. I'm good with that. And the rest of this is just distraction.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is unfortunate. I say, you know, you read it and you think about people reading it and people using such words, especially people who have achieved so much and have, you run SpaceX, you have all of the things that someone has to speak like that. At best, it's deeply unfortunate. Let me ask you, Neil, also, the other context here is these asteroids, right? So then the city killer asteroid, I guess it's called.
Well, yeah, meanwhile, there's like asteroids bearing down on Earth.
So,
maybe
so
somebody
in
should
case
pay
we don't
attention.
destroy it ourselves, there's something else to do it for us. Okay, so, you know, it was kind of up and it was down, it was vacillating all over the place, and now they're downplaying that particular asteroid that they say now is more unlikely to hit a city.
It's not so much downplaying, there's better evidence available to tighten the uncertainty circle such that Earth is basically no longer at risk.
All right.
Oh, by the way, that circle still encloses the moon. So the moon's risk, the moon
so Seven Eves becomes a reality. It's a Neil Stephenson book I enjoyed. Right, you break up the moon and the pieces start coming down.
Yeah.
But I know asteroids are a very serious thing, and there's only so much ability, and I think this is what this brought to bear, to see them within the time frame that one could do anything about it.
Yes, that's a perfectly stated concern. And so we have some telescopes coming online very shortly that specialize in the discovery of very dim asteroids. And these are the ones that can sneak up on us and not give us much time to react, either to deflect it, which NASA has been building that kind of technology. They had a mission, the DART mission, Double Asteroid Redirect Test, just a couple of years ago, successfully altered the path of an asteroid. This was not known whether that would work because the structural integrity of asteroids is not well understood. You can push on one piece, that might break off and leave the rest in place. We don't know this. So So the more of these kinds of missions that we launch,
Yeah.
the safer we might feel going forward when one of these gets discovered that could be headed towards Earth.
Yeah. All right. So now let me ask you also about these executive orders, the DEI orders that are now, at first I think people felt maybe in some of the government agencies, okay, it's just rhetoric. Call it whatever you want to call it, continue with it. It now appears that that's not the case, right? This is not rhetoric, this is reality. Look at NASA, for example, the web pages that would talk about the diversity of the space program. Just to say, look at how diverse our program is. This is something that we are proud of. Look at the 404 warning you get now. It's gone. Programs promoting diversity and inclusion, even, Black History Month, or Black astronauts, women astronauts, minority astronauts, just things, again, that the space program that NASA was proud of appear at this point to have been shut down. You sit here as a Black astrophysicist. How are you processing this?
Yeah, so when I grew up, people said, oh, did you want to be an astronaut when you were a kid? I'm old enough to have lived through the 60s,
Yep.
the moon landing and the rest. And I said, no, because it was clear they were not interested in me by who they were sending into space.
So you saw the
yeah.
lack of color.
As a child, I
Yes.
knew this.
Mhm.
And but it was more than that. Everyone was wearing like crew cuts at a time when the Broadway musical Hair was number one.
Right,
So
right.
there was some mismatches between who we were sending in space and what culture was doing. I still valued that we were going into space, but I didn't feel like I was a part of that. And with DEI, so I always viewed that as a way to encourage agencies to look in places you hadn't looked before for talent that you've been missing.
Yeah.
And so if we're going to stop that, and you think every person who's the right, who's correct for a job is white male, that's I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
And to fire a 4-star Air Force general
Right.
with an advanced degree in aerospace engineering,
Yep.
replace him with someone who is
Okay.
who's not a general,
Yep.
it would be 3-star general. It would be the first 3-star general as head of the Joint
Yeah.
Chiefs of Staff ever. That seems like a different form of DEI. It's like you're favoring someone else who's not even qualified.
All right, Neil. Well, thank you very much.